The Appalachian region, a vast stretch of mountains and valleys running along the eastern United States, is a place teeming with supernatural myths and unexplained mysteries. Known for its isolated communities and deep-rooted traditions, the folklore of Appalachia is ingrained in the region's cultural identity. Appalachia has given rise to many tales full of strange creatures, each embodying the mystery and wild spirit of the mountains. From the ghostly tales of fairies and witches reflecting the fears and hopes within people, to the ferocious monsters of the backwoods surrounding the region, here are 10 of the darkest and most wicked legends Appalachia has to offer. Witchcraft in Appalachia is a complex mix of African, Native American, and European practices, blending into a unique tradition that is ingrained within the region's culture. Witches in Appalachian lore are often portrayed as possessing deep knowledge of herbal medicine, midwifery, and the supernatural. They are respected, feared, and sometimes even revered figures who navigate the boundaries between the known and the unknown. As a testament to how impactful witch culture is around the area, people's barns and houses are sometimes adorned with hex signs, intricate patterns, and symbols designed to protect against witchcraft. One of the most chilling legends of witchcraft in the region is that of the Bell Witch, a tale that has haunted the folklore of Tennessee for over 200 years. It began in Robertson County during the early 19th century, between 1817 and 1821, and centers around the Bell family. A woman named Kate Batts was supposedly cheated in a land purchase by John Bell, the patriarch of the Bell family. Soon after this event, random animals started showing up at the Bell house, such as a dog or flocks of birds. John Bell's daughter, Betsy Bell, would begin experiencing strange happenings in her life, such as sheets being pulled off of her bed in the middle of the night, or getting bruises all over her body, sometimes even feeling the sensation of being kicked, scratched, or punched. John Bell grew so concerned by these violent escalations that he shared his story with a family friend, James Johnston. Johnston was hesitant at first, but after staying one night in the Bell household and experiencing the spirit firsthand, word quickly began to spread of the Bell's problem. The story eventually became famous enough to reach General Andrew Jackson, and according to legend, Jackson and a party of his men set up tents outside the Bell home. One of these men, claiming that he had knowledge of how to deal with witches, boasted that his silver bullets were going to keep the witch at bay. However, to punish him, the witch set her sights on the man, giving him an invisible yet brutal beating that had Jackson's men begging to leave. After John Bell's mysterious death in 1820, the Bell Witch continued to persist in tormenting Betsy Bell. The witch even forced Betsy to break off her engagement with Joshua Gardner before eventually disappearing for good. Some stories claim that she promised to return to haunt John Bell's direct descendants in 1935, but there were no later reports indicating this is true. Found in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, the Brown Mountain Lights are a true Appalachian mountain mystery. For decades, there have been sporadic reports by tourists and locals alike of strange, multicolored star-like lights that appear on Brown Mountain in Burke County. Folks who have witnessed these lights say they are typically red, blue, orange, or white in nature, and hover approximately 15 feet off the ground. Sometimes they move around, sometimes they don't. When they do, they have been reported as making quick, firework-like motions before inevitably disappearing. The first sighting of the Brown Mountain Lights is, interestingly, up for debate. Some date the first recorded sighting back to 1771, when German engineer John William Gerard de Brom wrote about the lights in his diary, while others say that the lights were first seen in the early 1900s. Whatever the case may be, the lights caused such a stir at the turn of the 20th century that the federal government got involved to investigate their origins. However, after the investigation concluded in 1922, it was decided that they were nothing more than distant train lights. Legend tells, though, of a brutal battle between Cherokee and Catawba warriors on Brown Mountain, which left many dead on the battlefield. In the evenings, Catawba women went searching for their sons, husbands, brothers, and fathers, using torchlights to guide them. Many claim that the lights seen today are the spirits of the Catawba women, still searching for their loved ones. No list of the most famous Appalachian folklore would be complete without mentioning Bigfoot. Arguably one of the most famous legends of all time, Tales of Sasquatch, a Salish word meaning wild men, or Yeti in Himalayan folklore, or Yowies around Appalachia have been around for centuries. However, the term Bigfoot was coined in 1958 by one Jerry Crew. A logging company employee in Humboldt County, California, Crew discovered a set of extra-large footprints in Six Rivers National Forest one day. Providing convincing pictures, Crew took his findings to a local newspaper. Rumors quickly spread through the company, where the name Bigfoot soon caught on like wildfire, spreading to the East United States as well. While the majority of reports are focused around the Pacific Northwest, there have been hundreds of sightings across the Appalachian Mountains of people claiming to have heard, seen, or even encountered Bigfoot. From the Adirondacks in New York, all the way down to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia, those who have witnessed these half-ape, half-man beings describe them as being 8 to 12 feet tall and covered in dark brown or black hair. However, there are some variations to the norm. One particular example is the sheep squatch, also known as the white thing, that is described as a large, woolly, bear-like creature with horns. It has been sighted near forests and rivers, often leaving behind strange footprints. Sheep squatch is known for its terrifying roar and aggressive behavior, symbolizing the untamed and unpredictable forces of nature in Appalachian folklore. While some believe that these wild men are simply misidentified bears or other animals, others maintain that they are a separate species entirely, and they continue to be a source of fascination and intrigue for many. One of the most integral parts of Appalachia's landscape are its many heavily wooded areas. These dense forests are keen to keeping dark secrets, and if you aren't careful, they're incredibly easy to become lost in too, especially at night. As we have learned with Bigfoot, there are a plethora of reports regarding people who have heard or seen something within these woods, but the mystery goes beyond giant hairy men. Have you ever thought you saw something move out of the corner of your eye? Unsure and confused, you probably looked around only to find nothing and chalked it up to your imagination. Well, there is a wicked Appalachian creature associated with those stomach-dropping uncertainties. The hide-behind is known as a fearsome nocturnal entity that preys upon humans wandering the Appalachian woods at night. It has been blamed for the disappearances of early loggers and hunters when they failed to return to camp, or part of the tally of roughly 24 hikers each year who go missing traversing the many trails across the woodlands. As its name suggests, the hide-behind is said to be able to conceal itself just out of sight. When an observer attempts to look directly at it, the creature quickly hides behind an object or behind the observer and therefore cannot be directly seen. The hide-behind supposedly uses this ability to stalk human prey without being observed and to attack them without warning. Said victims are then dragged back to the creature's lair to be devoured. The creature subsists chiefly upon the intestines of its victims and has a severe aversion to alcohol, which is therefore considered a sufficient repellent. The many tales of the hide-behind offer up but one explanation of strange noises emanating from those dark forests at night. As established with our previous entry, hiking, especially alone along the Appalachian mountain trails, might bring up some inner fear and imagination of being followed or pursued by some unseen human or animal. But what of those instances where you're sure you saw something right in front of you? Well, in 2011, a certain man decided to take a week off from work and go hiking alone along the Appalachian Trail. At the beginning of his hike, everything was going well. That is, until he received an incredibly frightening experience that he will never forget. As he had gone ever deeper into the woods, the trail became harder to see as day turned to night. He set up camp, made dinner, and was sitting by his tent. The man heard some strange noises approaching his tent, but this didn't deter him, as he thought it must have been some sort of animal. Simply, he wasn't bothered by them, nor did he go out of his way to check out where those noises were coming from. The following day, he continued with his hike and made camp where he sat around the fire again. Suddenly, he was left shocked when he saw a man standing near his firewood with his hands and body badly burned, and he had an incredibly mutilated face that was literally smoking. This experience left the camper so shocked and numb, he just sat there, staring and dumbfounded. The burned figure kept staring right back at him before finally walking away. The scared man decided to pack his belongings and leave the area quickly before it got too dark, only to come across a recently burned down house with a sheriff around it. The sheriff narrated to the man that 4 days before, the entire family burned alive in the house. Native American culture holds a vital place in the history of the Americas. This included old stories and folk tales that have been passed down throughout countless generations. Some of the creepiest find origin right along the Appalachian Mountains and its surrounding trails and forests. Spearfinger, or Utulunta, is a monster and witch in Cherokee legend, said to live along the eastern side of Tennessee and western part of North Carolina. Utulunta is Cherokee for the one with the pointed spear. Her right forefinger resembles an incredibly sharp spear or obsidian knife, which has many uses, but most prominently to cut her victims open, often stealing and eating their livers. Beside a spear for a finger, she shapeshifts into family members of her child victims. Once she has made herself a part of her victim's world, she lacks the ability to change her form while still in anyone else's sight. Spearfinger often disguises herself in the form of a harmless old lady. She is also known as Nyon Yanui, which means stone dress, for her stone-like skin. Because of this, those who have encountered her and lived to tell the tale say she sounds like thunder when she walks, crushing rocks into the ground when she steps on them. Her voice echoes down the mountains to the Cherokee villages and scares the birds of the forest away, which the people have traditionally seen as a warning sign of her arrival. In Tennessee, Spearfinger is believed to enjoy walking the trail that joins Chalawi Mountain and the nearby Little Tennessee River. She is said to have also walked throughout the mountain range, around streams, and through shadowy Nantahala River passes. The Cherokee say her favorite home is Whiteside, a thunder mountain. Dancing in clouds, she sang her favorite song with her raven friend. Uwalanatsaku, su sa sai. Liver, I eat it, su sa sai. Uwalanatsaku, su sa sai. Continuing our trend of dark Cherokee legends, the Wampus Cat is a wicked creature said to be the hybrid of a mountain lion and a woman. Roaming the Appalachian wilderness, the Wampus Cat emits incredibly eerie scream-like sounds that terrify any and all who hear it. These vocalizations are believed to be a method of attracting prey or warding off potential threats. The most popular tale tells of the Wampus Cat having once been a Cherokee woman who, as punishment for spying on men during a particularly sacred hunting ceremony, was transformed into a half-dog, half-cat abomination, doomed to wander the wilds forever. This tale has become integrated with Appalachian communities, serving as a cautionary tale to keep children from venturing too far into the woods after dark. Cherokee folklore offers a few perspectives on the Wampus Cat, however. Another legend tells of Running Deer, a Cherokee woman who wanted to take down the evil spirit Yu-Wa, known as the Spirit of Madness. Running Deer wanted revenge, for she believed the spirit was responsible for driving her husband Standing Bear to madness. Equipped with a booger mask and the spirit of a mountain cat, she surprised and defeated the spirit, becoming the tribe's spirit talker and home protector. Some believe that Running Deer's spirit resides within the Wampus Cat, guarding the Cherokee lands against the dark forces hidden in the depths of Tennessee. The Moon-Eyed People are a legendary group of short, bearded, white-skinned people with large, pale blue eyes, who are said to have lived in Appalachia until the Cherokee ultimately expelled them. Stories about them, attributed to Cherokee tradition, are mentioned by early European settlers in America, with some stories claiming they created the area's pre-Columbian ruins. In a 1797 book, Benjamin Smith Barton explains they are called moon-eyed because their eyes were supposedly so sensitive to the sun that they saw poorly during the day and remained nocturnal. Barton cited as his source a conversation with Colonel Leonard Marbury, an early settler of Georgia. Marbury, a Revolutionary War officer and a congressman in the Second Provincial Congress of Georgia, 1775, acted as intermediary between Native American Indians and the state of Georgia and the United States government. Legend says that the local Cherokee tribes waited for the full moon to drive the Moon-Eyed People from their underground caves. The bright light made them weak, forcing them to flee into other parts of Appalachia for good. Unlike other Appalachian monsters, however, the Moon-Eyed People were considered to be a distinctively separate race of people, rather than supernatural beings. In fact, they were likely simply European settlers, but that still doesn't explain how certain stories about them date back hundreds of years before their arrival. So are the Moon-Eyed People another Appalachian mountain scary story, or just early European settlers who never received their due credit? I guess that's for you to decide. The Mothman is one of Appalachia's most famous legends, having originated in Point Pleasant, West Virginia during the late 1960s. On November 12, 1966, a group of gravediggers working in a cemetery spotted something strange. They glanced up from their work as something huge soared over their heads. It was a massive figure that was moving rapidly from tree to tree. The gravediggers would later describe this figure as a, quote, brown human being with wings and red eyes. This was just the first reported sighting of what would come to be known as the Mothman. Other early sightings of this dark shadow creature describe a similar being, a large, winged creature with prominent, glowing red eyes. Often associated with ominous events or foreboding doom, the Mothman legend has become a significant part of the local folklore, attracting tourists and inspiring various cultural references, including festivals and films. It has been said that the Mothman also predicted the collapse of Silver Bridge in 1967, which led to speculation about its prophetic nature. With countless other claims regarding its origin, anything from a UFO to simply a mistaken crane, the Mothman is definitely viewed as a symbol of great mystery and unknown, embodying the fears and curiosities of those who encounter it. Our final legend is another of Appalachia's most famous, the Flatwoods Monster. On September 12, 1952, Edward May, Freddie May, Neil Nunley, and Tommy Heer were playing near Flatwoods Elementary, on the property of a local farmer, G. Bailey Fisher, when they spotted a strange, glowing light shooting across the sky. On their way to see the light, the boys stopped to tell one of their mothers, Kathleen May, who asked National Guardsman Eugene Lemon to join them. When they arrived at the site of the light's crash at the top of a hill, they saw a pulsing red light and a 10-foot-tall creature with twisted hands and a glowing green face that seemed to levitate off the ground. When the creature began to stir and hissed at them, they fled, never hearing or seeing it again. The event made local and national news, and even prompted an official U.S. Air Force inquiry. Amongst all who witnessed this event, descriptions varied when interviewed. In an article for Fate magazine based on his tape-recorded interviews, UFO writer Gary Barker described the figure as approximately 10 feet or 3 meters tall, with a round, blood-red face, a large, pointed, hood-like shape around the face, eye-like shapes which emitted greenish-orange light, and a dark black or green body. May described the figure as having, quote, small, claw-like hands, clothing like folds, and a, quote, head that resembled the ace of spades. According to the story, when the figure made a hissing sound and glided toward the group, Lemon screamed and dropped his flashlight, causing the group to run away. The group said that they smelled a pungent mist, and some later said that they were nauseated. The local sheriff and a deputy had been investigating reports of a crashed aircraft in the area. They searched the site of the reported monster, but, quote, saw, heard, and smelled nothing. According to Barker's account, the next day, Haley Stewart Jr. of the Braxton Democrat claimed to have discovered, quote, skid marks in the field and an odd, quote, gummy deposit, which were subsequently attributed by UFO enthusiast groups as evidence of a UFO saucer landing. After investigating the case in 2000, Joe Nickel of the Community for Skeptical Inquiry concluded that the bright light in the sky reported by the witnesses on September 12th was most likely a meteor, that the pulsating red light was likely an aircraft navigation or hazard beacon, and that the creature described by witnesses closely resembled an owl. Nickel suggested that the witnesses' perceptions were distorted by their heightened state of anxiety. Nickel's conclusions are shared by a number of other investigators, including those of the Air Force. The night of the September 12th sighting, a meteor had been observed across 3 states, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. According to Nickel, 3 flashing red aircraft beacons were also visible from the area of the sightings, which could account for descriptions of a pulsating red light and red tint on the face of the supposed monster. Still, these 10 occurrences from Appalachian folklore reveal the region's deep-rooted beliefs in the supernatural and the dangers of the wild. To the eerie cries of the Wampus Cat, to the ominous presence of the Spearfinger, each mystery embodies the spirit of Appalachia's mountains and forests. The folklore of Appalachia remains vibrant, a blend of indigenous, European, and African influences, each adding to the mystique of this culturally rich region. These tales continue to captivate, reminding us of the timeless appeal of folklore and the natural world's enduring wicked legends.